Last week I talked all about how to protect your eyes when working on music and looking at screens, and today I'm going to talk about how to protect your ears. This isn't going to be a super quick top 3 tips video because it's such an important topic. I wanted to make this video have a little bit more substance than that and also talk from my own personal experiences too. There will, however, be a few tips in this video, and I'll talk about some myths and give some audio examples too. But the real take-home message is about why it's so important that we start looking after our ears right away, especially if you're young, so that you don't suffer any kind of hearing damage when you're older that could have been completely avoidable. I've had many people tell me that noise can't damage their hearing unless it's painfully loud, and that they can build up a tolerance to this sort of loud noise over time, and I wanted to explain why this simply isn't true. And although hearing loss is very common amongst the older generations, a lot of people don't know that most of this hearing loss and damage is completely avoidable if you just follow some simple steps and take care of yourself. I'm not a doctor, but I did study biomedical engineering at university, so I do know quite a bit about human hearing. And the first question might be, what does this hearing loss actually sound like? So I've put together a little audio example here. This is going to sound very different for everybody. This will show you a contrast between what maybe full human hearing would sound like, and then what hearing might sound like for someone in their 40s after sort of exposure to a lot of music through their whole life, or someone in their 20s who goes clubbing every week. This is what it will probably sound like to them.
I know it's a tricky situation, and all of the medicine complication. I never had thoughts running so fast through my head. Just know this was never my intention. We wanted forever, but failed to mention the demons we always had, and it's the fed. How were we to know?
It sounds terrible, doesn't it? And while that's not a perfect example, it can give you an idea of what can happen to your hearing over time. And the scary thing is, a lot of people with hearing loss will be completely unaware that they have any hearing loss because it happens gradually over time. They won't notice what they're missing. So why does this hearing loss occur? Well, basically, the human ear can only cope with a certain volume of noise for a certain length of time before permanent damage is caused to the cells and nerves in the ear. The scary thing is, this damage is completely irreversible, it is permanent, and often it doesn't hurt, it doesn't cause you pain when you're damaging your ears. Unless it's very, very loud, this hearing loss can just happen gradually through everyday exposure to noise. You might have seen a chart like this before that shows sort of the dB value you can be exposed to for how long before the hearing damage occurs, but this isn't often that useful to anybody, and I'm going to try not get too scientific in this video, because to prevent the damage, all we really need to do is make sure that we're not listening too loud and for too long. And in my opinion, it's all about being aware of 3 things whilst you're working. The first thing is about being aware that your hearing loses sensitivity over time during a session that you're working on, and this is completely normal and to be expected among absolutely everybody. What happens is your ears desensitize. So you'll find that you turn the volume up just slightly, just a tiny little bit every couple of minutes, just to try and hear a little bit more. Maybe you're trying to hear a little bit more in the bass, or you're trying to hear some more of the mid-range or something, but you're just slowly creeping the volume up and up and up because it's not sounding detailed enough to you. Because your ears are being desensitized, you're not going to be very aware of how loud you're actually making it, and if you were to take a break for an hour and come back and press play, you'd probably notice that the music is very, very loud compared to how loud you thought it was. But if you're aware of this and you notice yourself just pushing the fader or turning your volume dial up and up and up, just stop immediately, just take a little break, go somewhere quiet, or do a different task. Maybe turn the volume off and do a backup, name some stems, organize your session without any volume, and then if you turn the volume back on, you might notice that it was just really, really loud and you've given your ears a chance to reset. The second thing to be aware of is that your ears get damaged by long exposure to noise, even if this noise doesn't hurt or isn't painful in any way. And I just want to stress that you can't build up a resistance to listening to music for a long period of time or at a loud volume. And I hear this from quite a few of my friends that go to concerts and go clubbing every week. They say that they've built up a resistance because when they first used to go, their ears would be ringing like crazy, it would hurt at the end of the night, but after doing it for half a year or a year, they're used to it and they've sort of built up a resistance. Now the thing is, this is scientifically impossible. There is no way to build up a resistance to loud noises or noise for a long period of time. All that's happened is that by the time they're 21 years old, they've already given themselves permanent and irreversible hearing damage, and I really don't think that's cool at all. But the good news is, when you're working on your sessions, all you have to do is be aware of how long you've been listening to the noise for. If something's been on loop for an hour and you're just working on it non-stop, just try to be aware of that and maybe just turn it off. Again, take another break. And it's the same as the video with your eyes. Often the best thing to do is not some little tip or trick or something like that. It's just to take a break and just step back from what you're doing. It will give your ears a chance to rest and recover. And if you don't want to take a break from your work, again, you could just do something else at low levels. The way I make sure that I'm not listening to noise for too long, when I work on mixes with clients, when I'm importing the stems, naming everything, setting up a session, I listen as little as possible and as quiet as I can. I don't need to hear all the full details to be able to name a kick drum, a snare, a bass, and all that stuff, and color the session, name it. All of those tasks that really don't require listening at all, I don't listen. And it means that when I am doing the listening part of the job, where I do have to turn it up a little bit louder, to a good medium sort of level, I'm not listening for too long. The third thing to be aware of is being exposed to really, really loud noises. And it's just to remember that any hearing damage is permanent and it's irreversible. So if you are going clubbing, you're going to a concert, or even if you're just going to like band practice, if you're the drummer or you're in a room with a load of musicians, I would seriously urge you to wear hearing protection. And it's not the silly foam earbuds that everyone thinks of. There's really cheap solutions. There's also really expensive ones, but the cheap ones are almost completely invisible, really discreet, and they still let the full frequency of noises through to your ear, just at a quieter volume. In my opinion, it's really, really cool to be the person who's investing in your hearing and just be that person at the concert wearing these tiny little, almost invisible earbuds that just make you enjoy the whole thing a lot more. And it means that when you're 30, when you're 35, when you're 40, you're still going to have amazing hearing. You'll still be able to mix, you'll still be able to master and produce music well and enjoy music. I heard someone make an analogy that was something along the lines of, if you're a guitarist, but the way you practice guitar every day slowly starts breaking down and eroding your hand, so that by the time you're 45, you won't even be able to play or enjoy playing guitar. Why would you practice like that? And it's the same when we do music. We want to make sure that we protect our ears so that we can actually enjoy the hobby or the job that we love doing every single day. If we don't protect our hearing, it's just irresponsible for our clients, it's not good for us, we won't be able to mix our own music. I've actually had 2 clients who got in touch. It was a situation I hadn't even thought about. They were fantastic at arranging. They could play guitar, they could play their keys, their drums, fantastic musicians. They were in their, one was late 30s, one was sort of early 40s, and they had really, really bad hearing damage because they'd been playing with bands their whole life. Their arrangement was great, all the instruments were awesome, but they couldn't balance it. They had to rely on someone else to do all of their balancing because they couldn't enjoy actually balancing it and listening back to their own music. And I thought that was really, really sad, and it made me sort of wake up a little bit and think, well, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to make music for like a few years of my life and then not be able to enjoy it ever again because I have a huge dip at 4K in my hearing or something like that. I'd rather just be a little bit uncool, maybe turn the volume down slightly, wear some hearing protection, and enjoy hearing for my entire life. And this is sort of why I was making that video. Anyone out there who's 16 or 20 or 30 or any age really, if you start now and really start taking it seriously and protect your hearing, you'll probably just have a much better quality of life all the way through into your old age. And sometimes I don't really take my advice serious enough as well, and I need to take more breaks and really look after my hearing. So this video is definitely for everyone and myself, and I hope you've managed to gain something from it. And the real take-home message from this video is just to take those breaks, look after yourself, enjoy it, but use the discreet hearing protection when you are going somewhere that you're going to have a huge exposure to noise, because the hearing loss is completely permanent, it's completely irreversible. You never get the hearing back, and that's something that I wish was stressed to me when I was a little bit younger. I never thought that it was something that couldn't be achieved again or couldn't be fixed by a doctor or something. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble now, so I hope this video has helped you. Please do let me know what you think in the comments, or if anyone does have any tips or tricks or sort of lifestyle hacks they've picked up along the way. I'd love to hear them, and I'm sure everyone else would too. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.